We're live. Okay, so we're going to talk about the G7 today. The first thing we have to do is talk about different economic development, so the different levels of development for countries. We kind of started talking about this the other day, but today it's going to make more sense. So we have three different groupings of countries. We have MDCs first. What do we think an MDC stands for? What does MDC stand for? More developed country. Great, Emma. You might have heard countries called like first world or third world countries before, yes? Yes. Okay, well, we're changing that. The term for it is more developed or less developed, okay? So for more developed countries, is this going to be a richer country or a poorer country, do you think? Richer, yeah. It's going to have a lot of money, okay? So why don't you draw $3 signs behind that, okay? Would you consider the U.S. to be a more developed country?
Yes.
Yeah, we are, okay? We are definitely a more developed country. What are some other more developed countries that you can think of, Riley?
Japan.
Yeah, Japan. What, Brian?
Dubai.
Dubai's not a country, but good try. What country is Dubai in? We drew it on our sketch map, literally last week. What country is it in? We had a whole conversation about it.
I think it's in Africa.
Oh, for the love.
No.
Check the Arabian Peninsula. Does anyone know what country it's in?
What?
What country is Dubai in?
India.
Nope.
India.
What is it? No. What is it, Charlie?
Asia.
No, it's close.
Asia.
Oh gosh, you're gonna do terrible on your math quiz next week.
Asia.
What is it? What are all those letters?
Something.
Yes, good, Brooke. The UAE. Okay, that's where Dubai is. Okay, and the UAE is a more developed country for sure. So you're on the right track, Brian, but just not a country. Yes.
Europe.
Well, Europe's not a country either. Give me some countries inside Europe that are MDCs. London's not a country either. What country is London in? Yeah, UK. Thank you, whoever said that. Zach, what do you got?
Germany.
What? Germany. Yep. Charlie? Norway. Yeah. Taylor?
Australia be one?
Yeah, Australia would be one. Abel, what do you got? No, we'll talk about China in a second. Good guess, though. Zach?
Canada.
Yeah, Canada. Okay, all really good examples, okay? So more developed countries are going to be countries that have a lot of money, that are very stable, okay? Rich countries, all right? Our next level that we have are called NICs. What do you think NIC is going to stand for? You might not know this one.
National International.
No, good guess.
Newly industrialized country.
Good job. Found that on her vocab matrix. That's what you call being resourceful. Newly industrialized country.
That was I know what ODC means.
Okay, so a newly industrialized country is kind of the country that is going to be in between really rich countries and really poor countries. So it's not rich and it's not poor, it's kind of in the middle. So it used to be poor and it's working its way up the ladder to be an MDC, okay? So that means that it has industrialized. What is industrialization? Think back to 8th grade history. What did you learn about industrialization?
It's factories.
Yeah, technology and factories, right? So you have more mechanization that happens in factories, and so that makes a country be able to make products faster and in larger quantities, right? And so that increases production, okay? And so that will help a country make more stuff, to sell more stuff, to bring in more money, okay? It's all a big chain of events, okay? And so when industrialization happens in a country, that's going to pull them out of maybe being poor and push them into hopefully trying to reach that MDC status, right? Because everybody in the world wants to be rich and have money and have a good, stable economy, okay? So newly industrialized countries are those middle of the road countries that are up and coming, you could say. What do you think, what type of countries would this be? Abel, what'd you say earlier? China. China is an NIC, okay? Zach?
India?
Yeah, India for sure. Riley?
Russia.
Yes. Kind of. Yes, kind of.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. We'll kind of talk about it in a second. Okay. Mexico would be another good one. All right. Countries that make a lot of things. Okay. Think like, not just, no, Japan's more developed. Zach?
South Africa.
Good. We'll talk about these countries in a second, okay? All right. The next level that we have, LDCs, which stand for what? Woo! Less developed countries. We figured out how to read our vocab matrix.
Oh, I didn't read it. I just know.
Good for you.
Less developed country. Okay, so these are maybe what you've heard be called first world countries, or maybe like your poorer countries, okay? This is going to be places in like Africa especially, okay? Some South American countries, Southeast Asia countries, okay? These are countries that don't have, they might have a lot of like maybe war going on, very unstable or unstable. Instability is there for sure. So maybe corrupt government, or just being taken advantage of, okay, for their resources, which is the case in Africa a lot. They have a lot of like natural resources, minerals, and stuff like that. And more developed countries kind of use those countries for their goods. Yes, Joe.
What about Cuba?
Yeah, probably in between LDC and NIC, trying to move up that ladder. Okay. All right, so these are our big categories of countries when we're talking about development, okay? LDCs, NICs, and MDCs, okay? Rich, medium, poor countries, all right? This is stuff that we will be talking about all year long. We'll be coming back to it, so you definitely need to know these different groupings of countries, okay? So rich, medium, poor, okay? Okay, so let's start by talking about what happened with the G7, okay? So G7 is truly just a group of 7 countries, okay? Really, really creative naming here, okay? But the G7 countries are countries that are known all around the world. They are MDCs, and it's kind of like just this club of cool kids, you could say, of like countries, okay? So they meet every couple of years. They are like powerhouse countries, okay? This group started in 1975. I know, a long time before you were born. But let's talk about what you know from world history. This might be a stretch, but let's see what we got, what was happening in the world in 1975. Zach? Cold War, first try. That's what I'm talking about. Cold War is happening, okay, in 1975. What is the Cold War? Zach, don't raise your hand. Anyone know? Okay, let's back it up even further. What was World War II?
Huh?
A war?
Yeah, it was a war. When did it happen?
I don't know.
1945.
1945, thank you, Zach. That's when it ended, okay? Surely you know a little bit about World War II, right? So when World War II ended, who won and who lost?
U.S.
Yeah, and who kind of lost?
Japan.
Yeah, and Nazi Germany, right? Okay. So when they divided up Germany, right? They divided up Germany. That's how we got like the Berlin Wall, right? All these things to divide up East and Western Europe, okay? Who was in charge of the western part of Europe? What?
Someone.
Yeah, which country? All right, Zach, teach us who was in charge of it.
Mainly U.S.
No, did I say
France.
west? I meant east. What?
Oh,
The
east.
eastern
East.
part. Joe? No. Zach.
Soviet Union.
Yeah, the Soviet Union. Is the Soviet Union still a country today?
It's Russia.
It's Russia now, right? Okay, so before it was Russia, it was the Soviet Union, okay? And what type of government do they have? Yeah, communism. You all kind of know that one, right? Okay, so communism took over all of Eastern Europe, okay, and all the countries closer to to Russia over there, or the Soviet Union. All right. So in the Cold War, kind of became who against who?
Soviet Union versus
Soviet Union versus who?
Some.
the Allies.
Soviet Union. Who is it against? Not Soviet Union. Ah, dang! I already gave you half of it. Cold War was Soviet Union versus who? U.S. Okay. So it's us versus them. Okay. So when we think about 1975, it's the U.S. versus the Soviet Union, all right? And we're thinking about a group of 7 countries that are going to unite to kind of just keep in check with each other. These are going to be your more developed countries. Who do we think is going to be in the G7 countries? Ian, give me one.
Is it like France, America?
Hold on, give me one.
Oh, America.
U.S. Yeah, the U.S. is going to be one. Why?
Do you want us to put
Riley, give me another one.
Canada.
Yeah, Canada is one. A lot of the times we forget Canada, but Canada is included. Joe, give me one. An MDC country. No? Okay, someone else? Any guesses? Riley, what's another one? Yes, Japan. Japan had recovered by 1975. Okay, they're kind of going to be the powerhouse over in Asia. All right. What's another one? We have 3. We have 4 more. Ian, what'd you say at very first?
France.
Yeah, France. France. Yeah, UK. How many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 2 more.
Australia.
No, good guess though. What do you got, Abel?
China?
No.
It's always an answer.
By 1975, who do you think had recovered after the war?
Germany?
Yep, Germany. They had stabilized. Okay, this was 40 years. Just kidding, my math sucks. 30 years after World War II. Okay, so Germany was fine. And then one more. We're missing one more. I think Europe. Zach.
Oh, Europe.
Mhm.
Italy?
Yeah, Italy.
Is that US or VS?
Oh, come on. It's the U.S. What is VS? Okay, so these are our G7 countries, all right? So these countries will meet every year. They kind of take turns. They talk about things that are just happening in the world, okay? And they try to come up with things to fix, like, global issues, okay? Elena, do you have a question? Okay, do you want to ask it, or do you want to
You know,
ask
like,
someone
where
else?
they meet? Do they like meet like all over the world? Like,
Yeah, they would like take turns going to different countries, like sending representatives to the different countries to meet. Okay, so this all happens in 1975. When does communism fall? When does the Soviet Union fall, Zach?
1990.
Yeah, 91, okay? So when the Soviet Union collapses, they were a pretty stable, like, economy, okay? And so we decided to give, well, it became Russia, a chance, okay? We said, hey, if you will play nice and be nice to all of the countries that you kind of just released from your control, okay? You'll learn about it in world history. It's fine. But they were over a lot of Eastern Europe, okay? But the G7 said, hey, we'll let you in our club if you'll be nice to everyone, okay? So Russia said, yeah, sure, we can play nice. So we added Russia to the G7, and it really became the G8, okay? But a few years ago, they attacked the Ukraine, and we said, nope, bye, see ya. So we kicked them right out.
So we don't write them?
I want you to write them, and I want you to put a line through them, so because I want you to know that at one point they were included. It was the G8, but then not anymore, because they just have they don't get along well with surrounding countries. Okay, there's a lot of problems with them,
Why?
with a lot of people. Okay,
Why this? Why?
What?
Why do they have a lot of problems?
Because so in the recent past, right, communism fell in 1991, but from 1945 to 1991, the Soviet Union controlled a lot of Eastern Europe and Central Asia. Okay, when the Soviet Union fell, there was a creation of a lot of new countries because the Soviet Union had controlled a lot of these areas. Okay, and so when communism fell, all these new countries came about, and the Soviet Union, or Russia, I guess, still has a lot of people who want to like take control or have control over those areas that they once had. So that's why a lot of their surrounding countries they don't get along with very well. Okay? And later on in the year we'll talk a lot about like different ethnic groups. And there's a lot of different ethnic groups because Russia's so big, right? If we look on our map up there, Russia is huge all across the top part of Asia, right? It's the largest like country land-wise in the world, okay? And there's a lot of different types of people who live there. And those different groups of people, some of them want to have their own country and not be a part of Russia. They don't want to be loyal to Russia. They want to be loyal to their own group of people, okay? And we'll talk about that later in the year, how that plays into it. But right now, all you need to know is that Russia is kind of borderline NIC, MDC, but we did let them into the G8 or G7, and it became G8. Then we kicked them back out, okay? Because they are always kind of involved in a lot of drama, okay? It's kind of easy to remember, okay? All right, so the next thing we have is these groupings of NIC countries. What does NIC stand for again? Newly industrialized countries, right? Okay, so these economists came up with different groupings of NIC countries that were kind of like the up and coming countries, okay? And so in the 90s, they came up with what they called BRICS. BRICS, okay? And so with the BRICS, these are NICs, okay? So BRICS are like these up-and-coming, newly industrialized countries who are on the verge of becoming MDCs, okay? So they're industrialized, they're making more money, all right? So let's take a guess at what BRICS stand for. What's the B country going to be? No. Holy cow. What is the B country? Say it again. Brazil. It's Brazil. I didn't hear Brazil. Hey, why don't we pause and you go grab a atlas? Okay, so Brazil has a lot of manufacturing. Okay, they have a lot of manufacturing. They're not tearing down. They're trying to get rid of some of the rainforest there. So they're manufacturing those trees, cutting down those trees, manufacturing them into other things, okay? Brazil is a big NIC, all right? What is the R going to stand for? Russia, right? Okay, let's flip over to Asia, and I want you to look at how big Russia is since we were just talking about it. Mm-hmm. You tell me. What page is Russia on?
71.
71. Great.
All of it is 78.
All of it is page 78. Okay. Look at how big Russia is. It's huge, right? It has a lot of different border countries. So a lot of smaller countries are going to touch it, right, Ryan? Look alive. Okay? So Russia economically is more the same of like an NIC. Politically, they're more of an MDC. Okay, they're kind of on the line between NIC and MDC depending on what part of the country that you're looking at. They also have a lot of oil. Okay, so that's Russia. What is the I gonna be for? India. India. Where is India? Remember, we've drawn it on our map already.
It's like 84. Yeah, it's 84.
84. Cool. Okay, so India has a lot of what?
Desert?
Oh yes, land. No, I'm talking like think economy. People, we're in our economic unit.
Trees.
Oh boy. No, okay, think like telecommunications, okay? A lot of technology that's kind of up and coming, okay? That's what India it has a lot of. Also, a lot of our stuff is sometimes made in India, all right? But where are most of the factories? What's the C one?
China.
China, right? China has all the stuff, right? That's where they have all the factories, right? Most of the things in here, I'm sure we could find, says made in China, right? Does this box say it? My iPad does? Oh, yeah, it sure does. What? Okay, so lots of stuff made in China, all right? They have all the factories. They are industrialized. This is a big NIC country, okay? And the S is going to stand for what? Zach said it earlier. Yeah, you did. South America is a continent, people. South Africa is a country. South Africa. Okay, South Africa has a lot of mining and natural resources. Okay, so that's what they are big in. And so these are economies that are emerging, okay? They are growing. Hopefully these countries will move into the MDC status soon, okay? But some economists say that it's not about the BRICS countries, it's about the MIST countries. That these are the top countries we should be looking at, or the top NIC countries to be looking at. This is like early 2000s. So what is the M1 going to stand for? Yeah, Mexico. Okay. Lots of farming here. Okay, they have good climate to farm. What is the I? A different one from the other one. Yeah, who said it? Indonesia. Indonesia. What do they have? What? Oil. They have a lot of oil. Okay. S. What's the next S?
South Africa.
Nope, we already said that. It's a new one. Not Spain. Yeah, what'd you say, Ian? South Korea. Now, this was in the early 2000s. I would say that Korea is a MDC at this point. So they have made that switch. But South Korea is kind of like in competition with Japan. Okay, Japan has been the big powerhouse in Asia for a long time, and South Korea is up and coming. Okay, they have a lot of like electrical things, like LG and Samsung are out of South Korea. And so their technology power is kind of coming along too, okay? And so I would say that they're considered more of an MDC at this point, but in the 2000s, they were included in the MIST countries, okay? And then the T is going to be for what?
Turkey.
Yep, Turkey. Turkey. Let's find Turkey on your maps. Find Turkey. Oh man, we didn't look at the other ones either. We'll go back. Turkey. Find Turkey. Where is it at? Page 86. Thank you, Riley. What country is Turkey, or what continent is Turkey in?
Where is
Turkey? What color is Turkey on your map?
Yellow.
Yellow?
It's near
Okay, what continent do you think Turkey is in?
Asia. Asia.
I don't even know where I'm looking.
What? Find it. It's right there.
Oh, yeah.
Up at the top, by the page number.
What does it say? What'd you say, Ian?
81.
Page 81? Okay.
Page 86.
81 or 86? Okay, I just want you to find Turkey. Okay? What continent is it in? Europe, Asia, Middle East.
Because it says Asia on the other page and it's
And it says Europe there, right? Okay, so this is a debate about Turkey. Turkey, it's the land bridge. It's the bridge between Europe and Asia, okay? Turkey wants to be in Europe. They want to be in the EU, okay, because economically they fit better with the EU than other Middle East countries that we drew on our sketch map, okay? But they are culturally more like the Middle East, okay? So more Arab and Islamic than the rest of Europe, okay? And so that's why the EU is hesitant about including Turkey into that organization of the EU, okay? And we'll talk about that later this year too. All right, but Turkey's the land bridge. That's where migration is going to happen. Do you know what migration is?
Yes.
Yeah, moving, right? So when people move from the Middle East, a lot of the time they'll take that route through Turkey to get to Europe, to get to those MDC countries, all right? And so Turkey is considered an NIC. They're not poor, but they're coming out of that, okay? They're industrializing, and they want to be an MDC country, all right? So Turkey is right in the middle, okay? So that's the MIS countries. Other people say it's not about the MIS countries, but about MINT, M-I-N-T. So the first two are still the same, Mexico and Indonesia. Let's find Indonesia on a map so you know where it is. Where is Indonesia? Check out East Asia, Southeast Asia. Emma, did you find it?
Yeah.
How would you explain what that country looks like? What'd you say, Brian?
A mess.
A mess? How? What do you mean?
It's all over the place.
Like what? How so? Let's explain it geographically. Islands. Thank you. That's the term I'm looking for. It's islands, right? It has a bunch of different islands. Okay? So that's where Indonesia is. It has a lot of oil. Remember, we talked about it in the last time. What is the N going to stand for? No. Good guess.
North Korea.
Think Africa.
Nigeria.
Nigeria. That's it. Who said that? Ryan? Did you say that? Good job. Nigeria. Okay, Nigeria also has a lot of oil. They also are kind of up and coming. Their population is really rising. A lot of people are moving to the cities. And they have like the equivalent of what our Hollywood is in Africa. They call it Nollywood. Nigeria, Nollywood. Okay. And so they produce a lot of movies there that earns them money. And again, a lot of their population is growing and moving to cities. Okay, so that means they're getting better jobs there too. Okay, so Nigeria up and coming. The rest of Africa pretty poor. So far we have like two African countries. We have Nigeria and South Africa. Okay, and then the TO is still the same. Turkey. And then the last grouping of this is civets. Oh, is it E? Yeah. E-T-S. C-I-V-E-T-S. Some people say that these countries are the best of the NICs. What is this C? Nope. It's a new one. Colombia. Where is Colombia? What continent? South America. Someone said it. Turn to what page is South America on?
That's Africa.
Oh, for the love.
It's 60.
What? 57. 57. Colombia, what color is it? What is it? Pink? Okay, great. All right, so Colombia has some farming, but their economy is transitioning more into manufacturing, okay, in South America there. The I is, again, for Indonesia. V, what is the V going to be? Yeah, Vietnam. Whoever said Vietnam? Where's Vietnam? Southeast Asia. Flip your page back over to where you were probably looking at Indonesia. It's just a big scavenger hunt, people. I just want you to see what these countries look like. We're going to draw them all this year. Go back to the Indonesia page and then find Vietnam. You found it, Brooke? What color is it? It's what? Green? Light green or dark green?
It's light page on 87.
Light green on page 87.
Can't find it.
Did you find it? Okay, this is the largest rice producer in the world, is Vietnam. Okay, they have what type of climate since they're closer to the equator? Yeah, tropical. Okay, they are able to grow rice and a lot of it. Okay. The next one is E. What is Europe a country? Nice try. Give me a country. Starts with an E. Not many of them. No, good guess though. Like the one other E country in the world. Go back to Africa.
Oh, Egypt.
Egypt, yeah. Why? Oh, no. There we go. Egypt. So their government has kind of been in turmoil over the last 10 years. Arab Spring was happening when I was in college, so their government has kind of changed hands a few times, so maybe a little bit unstable there, or unstable. But they produce a lot of cotton. Fun fact for you, okay? T is still the same, and so is the S for South Korea. Okay, so all these countries that I just wrote up here in red, all these different groups, these were all the NIC countries, okay? So these are all countries that are up and coming. They're emerging economies. They're all countries that MDC countries might want to invest in to help pull them up to be MDCs with them one day, okay? They all kind of help the MDCs in some way too, okay? There are some cross groupings of like the cool kids, the big dogs, the MDCs, okay, the G7 and the NIC countries into something that we call the G20. What? G20? So the G20 is the G7 plus MIST, BRICS, and a few others. So that's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So we're missing 4 others. What are 4 others that we haven't touched on in G7, MIST, or BRICS? No. Like, we're missing 4 other countries that we haven't talked about that could be included in this big group. Australia is one, yes. We always forget about Australia way out there by themselves. They have a really strong navy. Okay, 3 more. No, good guess though. Zach?
Spain.
No, also a good guess. There's one in South America and one in the Middle East. What?
Argentina.
Argentina. Yeah, it is Argentina. Argentina is kind of like the old grandpa of South America. So pretty stable. They were more stable than the other countries for a longer time. Okay. Middle East. We're missing one in the Middle East. Saudi Arabia. Why? What? Someone say it louder for the people in the back. Oil. Saudi Arabia is the largest producer of oil. Okay? Oil. That is going to make a country really rich, and you are going to want to be friends with a country with a lot of oil. Okay? That is going to have a lot of say in the economy. Okay? Have your parents ever freaked out about gas prices going up?
Yes.
Yeah, all the time, right? That's why we want to try to keep these countries in the Middle East, while we are very different than them, yes, while we have had wars with them, we try to keep them within an arm's length, try to keep them good enough friends so that we can still have access to their oil, okay? So Saudi Arabia is included in these in the G20. And then the last one I'm going to help you out with, because it's not really a country and it's honestly not really fair in my opinion, is the European Union. Okay, the EU is the last one. It gets one vote, but what is the EU? Anyone know? Do what?
We learned about it in French.
You learned about it in French? That's great. What is it, Ian? Huh? Yes, European Union. What does the European Union do? Zach? Yeah, they trade. Okay, so the European Union lets all of Europe kind of like act as if it were the United States. You know how we can jump in the car and drive to Oklahoma or Louisiana or all the way up to New York if we wanted to, right? And we don't ever have to worry about borders or anything. So Europe kind of works the same way. Okay, they have open borders. Whenever I lived in Europe, I could jump on a train and I could go all across Europe, and I never had to get my passport stamped, which I was honestly kind of sad about, because I wanted to get all of the stamps in my passport. But it was an open border system, okay? The EU helps with that. I also only had to have the euro. So all of those countries, or most of the countries in the EU, use the euro. That's their equivalent of like the dollar, okay, here. So it's their currency. And all of those countries use the same currency, so that way whenever I went across these different borders to these different countries, I could use the same money, and I didn't have to get different currency for all the countries that I went to, okay? They trade with each other, open borders for trade, open borders for movement. I could live in Austria and work in Italy the same way as someone could live in Texas and work in Oklahoma, okay? It's very open, all right? And so the EU, I believe, is 27 countries. Is that true? 26 now, maybe? I'm not sure. Something close to that, okay? And a lot of those countries are in the G7, or not a lot, but France, UK, not anymore, Italy, Germany, okay? So they kind of get like 2 votes in the G20, which isn't really fair to me, but the EU does get 1 full vote as a whole, okay? So while it's not a country, it still is part of the G20. Okay, is that confusing? Clear as mud? All right, you wrote this down though? Okay, good. Okay, so another grouping that we have is called the G120. What? It is a lot. We're not going to list out 120 countries. Thank goodness. But this is going to be the LDCs and all of the emerging economies. Think, let's think like Africa, Asia, Latin America. Okay, so the poor countries. But why is it important to care about those lesser developed countries?
They can become bigger.
Not just bigger, but what else?
Powerful.
Not just powerful. What are most of those countries providing for us? Resources and oil. Some. Those countries are going to be NICs probably with oil. What do lesser developed countries have, Hunter? Oh, goodness. Yes, we're almost done. Zach? Food. They're making all of our food, right? They have all the farms. That's where a lot of our agriculture is done, that is shared across the world, okay? Is food is in the less developed countries. Okay, that's where a lot of our farming is done. So it makes sense to want to help out those lesser developed countries, right? And then we watched in the video the other day from the unit intro that a lot of the people, remember how many people live on less than $2 a day? 2 billion, not just million, 2 billion, right? That's a big chunk of the population, and those people are going to be living in LDC countries, okay? So a lot of our people in the world are in LDC countries. So it makes sense to want to help out those lesser developed countries. Okay? So we need to care about the LDC countries, because as soon as we get those LDC countries better infrastructure, remember we talked about that the other day too, when those LDCs get better infrastructure, then their standard of living goes up, girls get more education, right, and can get better jobs, and then people stop having as many kids, and it becomes more affordable to take care of their kids and to put money back into the economy, and it's this big circle, right, of effects that can happen, okay? So it does matter. The LDC countries, the poor countries do matter, and we want to pull them out of that and hopefully help them industrialize to get to that NIC stage, okay? Does that make sense? All right, that is all for our notes.